folks, we're just getting going here this morning. I got the depth sounder on. I need to get the tracking for the Zoleo going. That should be running. And I've got everything else tracking. I'm testing the anchor alarm to see how much noise that makes when I exceed my distance. Pull anchor. Well, the wind is pretty much as forecast. I think I had around 50 feet out here, so yeah, 50, a little over 60, I guess. Hopefully the anchor will come up. The water is fairly clear here today, so I can see the bottom. Anchor held nicely. The wind wasn't super strong, but there was a fair amount, a little more, I think, than the forecast. I had a little rock and a rolling yesterday, but it calmed down in the evening. It has a tendency to want to come around the bend and rock the boat. I noticed that you got to really get in. Looks good. The anchor, I can see it down there set. Yeah, better bring it over here. See if it'll pull it up here. Dug in pretty good. There we go. It finally broke loose. Sometimes it just takes a little, get the suction broken. A little mud on it. I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to be setting it right away again. Or I've got to go ashore to get the PLB. Well, let's go see what we got. Find out what the kind of noise the anchor alarm makes when I exceed the distance. My hands are cold. Well, let's go right. I'm going to be exceeding the distance real soon. Well, I don't know, is it moving with me here? I don't know if this is working. Once the alarm's set, it shouldn't move. It looks like I'm just about to exceed it here. All right, the alarm should have gone off. Well, that's a little bit disconcerting. It doesn't look like it works. All right, going slowly here to get away from shallows. Windshield's kind of dirty, can't see out much. Not dirty, but wet with droplets. I've got 13 feet. We should be okay, but this could be a shallow area here, so I need to check, make sure we don't have any peaks with this line of islands down to the south. Sometimes that extends underwater, but it looks flat here. Maybe not. Well, I hope there's not too much water in the kayak. The water is really cold today. Water temperature is 41 degrees. It's as cold as I've seen. You definitely don't swim in that water. Starting to get into deeper water. We're just going about 16 miles up here to the island. Well, there's a few peaks there, so there was some peaks along here. But okay, there it drops off. Well, we'll head up here and get back to those islands where I left the PLV. I'm hoping it won't take long to find it. Beautiful day. Contrast for the last 2 rainy days that we've had. Pretty nice. Still cold. I got my wool gloves, so I'll put them on. My hands are going to get cold getting that water out of the kayak, so better keep them warm as long as I can. Well, it's nice and calm this morning. That'll help so I don't have to get exposed to wind and waves while I'm trying to do this little project. Okay, I need to go outside that bigger island. It's shallow inside. Well, the sun's starting to bake off the condensation on the windshield. Well, we got out of there at about 8:15. It's an early start for me normally. I was trying to get out early because the wind's supposed to come up a little bit. Not terrible, but later it's coming up. Well, I'm hoping I can fix my autopilot when I get home. It's going to have to be taken apart, try to figure out where the short is. The work that I did on it is, a jury rig. So I'm not a great solderer, and I had to use a soldering iron to do the job, and I may not have gotten a good connection on one of the wires, but it's underneath in small screws and stuff. It's just not conducive to try to do that on the boat. I don't have a soldering iron anyway, so we'll do it when we get home. It's unfortunate because it's a real helpful tool, especially on the longer legs. It gives you relief at the helm so that you can mess around with other projects, other things while you're moving along. Not sure how far I'll go. I think the first spot that I was looking at is about 6 miles. I may do that. We still have, today's Sunday, and trying to think here what day I think it's Sunday that I'm going to be in, so I've still got over a week before I pull out, so I've got time to piddle around. And tomorrow's going to be a nice day, so supposed to rain again after that. But the interesting thing is I've been out now for, trying to think, about at least 10 days, 10, 11 days, and I have only seen 2 little 16-foot aluminum crafts type of boats out here. Very, very little activity. It kind of surprises me when there's a town right on the shore of the north end. You'd think you'd see more fishing boats, but I suppose, you know, people aren't. I'm halfway down the lake, and a lot of times they don't want to spend the gas to get down here. So, and it sounds like a lot of the fishing is lake trout oriented, and I think the peak of their trout season is kind of the end of July. They have a big tournament then. Well, I think I was here at day 4, so we're now on about day 10, I think, just now returning. Beautiful day, I can't fault the weather. Again, the water temperature is 40 degrees. Air temperature this morning was the coldest I've seen, 37 degrees on this trip. That's the reason I'm wearing a down vest, and I have the windshield up, blocking what little breeze there is coming over the bow. With this kind of water temperature, the wind chill really drops. But I'm warm in this vest. Sun is beating in on the right here, so that helps too. Well, we're coming up on the first island, which will pass. It'll pass to our right here, so you'll see it. And then we'll kind of curve around and get behind the island where I left where I think I dropped the PLB, and see if we can't find it. I'm hoping. Wondering if I should wear my rain pants. I'm guessing that the woods is going to be a little wet, but I think I won't. If I get damp, well, hopefully it'll dry out today. Just adds another layer of clothing. It gets, because if I'm going to wear the pants, then I probably need to wear a rain jacket too. Although wearing the rain jacket might be wiser than the pants, I don't know. We'll just go as is. Thank you, Lord, for this quiet day to get the PLB, to do the search. With the sun out bright, it helps. And I just pray that you'll guide my steps, that I'll find it quickly. In Jesus' name, we pray. Well, we're deep yet, deep water. I bet that site used right here on the right, probably been used for camping. Yeah, looks like a fire ring there of some kind. If it wasn't so exposed, it'd be a nice place to tie up. You'll see it coming up here shortly. Nice bare rock, be a great campsite. Now I need to go in. Well, let's go back in the same way that we came out. That makes the most sense. Okay, there's the island there that I need to go into. I guess I could go in that way. I did go around it initially, so just follow this around the island and watch the depths as we go in here. It's getting shallow all of a sudden. Bring the motor up just a little bit. We'll just find a little flat spot to anchor when we get inside here. See where we're at. Okay. I think that's going to be good enough right there to drop the anchor. Won't put out too much road because I don't anticipate being here very long. It's not very deep, so we'll just put out about 40 feet. That's good enough. About 7 feet here. Yeah, I'll go make sure it's tight and it's not slipping. Yep, that's good. Let's go see if we can find it. Well, I will leave everything hooked up, but I'm going to turn the camera off. All right, I think I'll wear gloves to untie those lines. It's kind of knotty in there. I don't know why the drone batteries were so low. They were just a couple days. One was too low to even fly. The other one was around 53%. Shouldn't do that. Okay, the wind is a little bit from that side, so we'll untie this one. All right. That's one drawback of coming ashore is you get sand in the boat. Or get as much sand off on the grass as I can, I should say. It looks like too much activity here. If I was coming midweek, I would stay, but on a Sunday, too much likelihood that somebody might come out here. I don't really want to be here if that's the case. I got too many things. I can't take a walk anyway and leave things on the boat, a fire ring and bottle and everything else here that people could take. And, you know, I don't know the neighborhood. Maybe they wouldn't touch anything. Maybe they would. I don't know. Best thing to do, find a more discreet anchorage to park in. So that's what we're going to do. There's one just around the corner that I think will work. So, all right, I think we're ready to pull away. All right, put my vest on and back away. At least we got a drone flight in. Yeah, pulling right out. No problem. Could have anchored here, would have. And I still could anchor, I suppose, and just leave the kayak on shore. But flies and mosquitoes are so bad anyway that I'm hesitant to. Just gonna go down here and see how deep it is in this anchorage here. Shallow there, pretty quick. But it would have worked. It says northwest wind, but I'm feeling a southeast wind. That's about 7-8 feet in here, so it would have been a good anchorage actually. It's a good spot. Now it's getting deeper there, but yeah, it would work. But I think we're gonna go around the corner and see what we can find. Well, we're just gonna go around there's a kind of a long peninsula here. We're gonna go around behind that and park for the night. Cliffs there. Thought I'd put in the picture. Well, I thought about staying there overnight and hiking, but I don't know if I think there might have been some black flies and mosquitoes and flies, so it might not have been a real pleasant place to stay. Even though the setting was kind of nice and that access to some trails there for walking, you know, it's a good way to see other wildlife is to be out on some of the trails here, because they don't seem to be coming down to the shore. And I'm not, interestingly enough, I don't see any eagles. I see no loons. I heard one loon on this trip, and that's it. Heard one loon call. I think that was like the first or second night, and then nothing. So I don't know what that's about. As you get over east towards Temagami, I noticed the same thing, and that's strange. You'd think there would be comparable numbers of eagle or osprey and loons, as you would see over on Nipigon. Nipigon's only about 60 miles west or so, and that's full of bald eagles. So I don't know. It may be just a kind of a sterile lake, and not a very good place for them to fish. That's eagles' primary food is fish, at least in this part of the world. I'm just kind of pedaling along here because there's no hurry. Sun's out, wind hasn't really been blowing, so it's a pleasant change from the 2 days of rain and cold. Water temperature, I think I said it earlier, was 40 degrees this morning. Air temperature was 37. Air temperature actually got below the water temperature, but I can tell you this, I still wouldn't go swimming. But you don't see that too often in the summer months. Water temp's warming up though. I see it about 49 here now. So just the sun beating on the surface warms it up. Well, I'm hoping this will be decent anchorage. I may have to use a stern anchor, I don't know, because it's fairly narrow, and I don't know what the depths are. They show deeper depths on the east side of it, shallow on the west side, but you know, until you go, these charts are not accurate enough for me to know for that if that's true or not. Well, I think it's burgers for dinner tonight. Thankfully, it's not too windy. I can usually get the grill to work decent on a day like today. Of course, it's early. The wind could come up later. All right, how far have I gone? Well, just about 6 miles. Well, thank you, Lord, for helping me find the personal locator beacon, PLB. It took me about 15 minutes to do the dirty deed. It just took me more time to get the kayak rigged and or unrigged and rigged again than it did to get to shore and find it. As soon as I crawled up on shore, I could see it. I knew pretty much where I probably dropped it. I was doing a search for the drone when I left my life vest on the ground there, and it fell off. So we found the LB and we found the drone. The drone wasn't damaged too badly. All I had to do was, I think one blade was slightly cut, so I replaced it. And then the handle that I grab it from the air that snapped, so I super glued that back together. And then one of the straps that secures a float broke, and I re-glued another piece on that. Little super glue did the job on a couple of small items, and then I had one replacement blade I had to put on. It probably would have been okay. It wasn't missing anything, so the balance would have been fine, but might have made more noise, and it could, you know, if it's cracked like that, it could break all the way through, and then you lose a blade, and then it's likely to crash. So better to remove and replace. That's what I did. All right, we're coming up on the bend here, and we'll see what we find. Wind is forecasted to go initially this morning northwest light, and then south light overnight. This particular anchorage I'm going to is open to the northeast, but pretty well protected from the northwest, southwest. So then the key is whether or not we can find water to anchor in. Sometimes on the south end of the lake, quite often there, they were just way too deep. You know, you couldn't get 30 feet or 40 feet of water. Well, that's too deep to anchor. I've got a fair amount of road. I think I got at least 150 feet, but that's still not enough. You don't have enough scope to have a decent ratio. I usually look for 10 feet or less. You know, 6 to 10 is a good place to be. But then again, that depends on the bottom. What I've been finding is a very loose muck on most of this trip. It's not a hard sand or even clay. It's more of a muck, which isn't the best. That has a tendency to, well, it dragged actually a couple times. It's hard to get it to hold in that kind of condition. All right, we're coming around the bend. You just got to watch the shallowness off the end of the point here. It says it's deep, but I don't trust the map. We'll watch the depth sounder close. It's 110 feet right now, or more, but it should shallow up pretty fast. Okay, we're coming up on 50 feet, so we'll slow her down. We don't want to go across the point here, too much speed on, especially if it comes up fast. 40 feet there now. Well, it dropped off, so that was part of the point there. So we'll just kind of peek up in here and see what we find. Definitely part of the point behind me there. It's getting deep, 75 feet, over 100, but I'm sure it won't stay there. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of go down the middle and see what it does. Well, there's a long way in there, but right now we're way too deep, 150 feet. And of course, that's completely opposite of what the chart is saying. The charts, they're saying about 8-10 feet. That's why I say there's no accuracy at all. This is really, how they even allow these to be published, I don't know. It's unsafe. I may just poke in this little place over on the left here and see how deep that is. There's a little indentation here on the left, although it shows it as being deep. Who knows if we'll just poke in there and see what it says. It looks like it would be shallow just based on the shoreline. Now, we might not be able to anchor here if it's too deep. We can go down to the end here and see, but still 81 feet. It's not looking good. All right, now it looks like it's coming up a bit. I mean, I'll have to use a stern anchor if it's based on what I'm seeing. It looks like it's going to be deep right up to shore. It's coming up here now. 47 feet, still deep. Coming up to about 30 now. Okay, it does shallow up there, but it's so narrow I could go in there, but I'd have to use a stern anchor. Let's just go down and check this a little bit more. I got to about 15 feet there. Interesting slope there. Well, the way it's looking, we'd have to get all the way down the end. Let's go look. Well, maybe over by the cliff. Let's check that out here by the cliff. It'd be a nice place to anchor if it gets shallow enough. Not likely where the cliff is, but you never know. It's flat bottom here, but it's 45 feet deep. This is going to be deep. Good bottom is just too deep. "30 feet. Well, there it came up 20 feet. Well, 20 feet now, so the shoreline looks better up ahead here, so if we can get that closer to 10, we'll be okay. Forgot to put my windshield back up on top so I could see better, but fortunately it's dried up so it's clear. And it looks like you'll find shallow enough water up ahead. Bottom's flat. I always look over the side once in a while because you just don't know. Getting shallower. Coming up on 15, so we'll kind of go out towards the middle. Terrain around the edge here is looking better. I think this is a rock, but I want to make sure. No, looks like a piece of wood floating. Okay, it's coming up. Looks like this will work. Get a little closer to the left. 17, 16, 15. I don't know, that may be a rock. Look like shallow there, so here's that a log caught on the rock. All right, we're getting good bottom, flat, probably mud, and we're coming up on 10 feet, so we'll be fine. This is a good anchorage. All right, we'll just edge up on it here. Don't want to carry too much momentum. 13 feet. It's coming up fast there, so 10 feet. We'll put her down. Well, it's clear enough water here. I can see the bottom. Well, what did I see? 10 feet. So let's put out a 50 initially. Set the anchor, and then we'll see where our depth is. And yeah, it's 50 feet there now. So it's going to set. So I think I'll go ahead and put 60 out. Looks like a rock over there. Yeah, see, we're only 7.5 feet here now. I can see the bottom. Letting it drift around with the wind here. Comfortable with this. Nice flat bottom, muddy. Six feet there. Well, I don't know, maybe it's not holding. Seems like it's not holding. I think it's holding, but I got a little closer to shore here than I wanted. This only shows 6'4". I got as little as 5.5 feet, so now it's 7. But I'm not moving. We're set. Let me go ahead and double check though. Feel the anchor rode and see if it's dragging. No, it feels like it's holding well. So 7 feet, I got 60 out, so I'm way over. 50 feet would have been enough. So let's go back and shut her down. All right, folks, we made it. It's a decent anchorage. Sun's out. I retrieved my PLB. I'm happy about that. It's a nice day. I'll probably set up the shower and do a hot shower today. I'm overdue. It's been cool, so it doesn't, you don't get so hot and sweaty like you do on a normal summer day. The last 2 days I've had heat on all day in the cabin. It's not like I've been hot and sweaty for the last few days. It's been pretty cool. Not much to say, it's already been set. Showing about 7.5 feet. It kind of varies, depends on whether I'm closer to shore or not. Probably can get down as close as 5 feet if I swing in. Light wind right now about there. So I'm pretty well protected in here where the wind is supposed to go over the next 2 days. So we'll shut you down. I'll do some dishes and get batteries starting to charge. We'll see what's next. All right, folks, I'm going to try to film this setting up the shower in the cockpit. I usually put my table over to the right here, and then this is the catchment for the water so that I don't get soap in my bilge. And then this is where the shower framework is centered on, is this post right here. And then right over here is this is the hot water heater right here. And then my bucket of water for the shower. And I just fire that up when I'm ready to start the shower. Heats the water, and then I shower in here. Right now I'm going to put the framework up and put the curtains up so you can see how that goes. The framework itself I keep in the head. There's two portions. This one here goes in the base here and holds the base of the posts. And then this is the framework that holds the curtains, and it just fits on the top of this post. Also my flagpole. So it's a shower pole and a flagpole, dual purpose. And so that it doesn't twist in the wind, I put a pin in it. Usually the first time in a trip, it takes more time because I have all the components stowed away. Once I set up the shower, it's a little quicker each time. And I haven't used it on this trip yet because I did go swimming before on that one anchorage. It was a little warmer. These are my shower framework that goes up, and these were just some kind of a camping tent post. I don't know exactly. I can't remember. I think I got them from Cabela's. I was looking for something a little heavier than the regular tent posts, something that would stand up to pressure. So that's what this is about. And they just snap together like that. These go in there. Got to unlock them first, and then these slide into the corner post there in the base. There's some holes drilled in the PVC corners, and then they lock down so can't move. Anyway, you do that for each of the posts, corner posts. Line them up with the corners there, clamp them down so they don't slide. Got that one. Sometimes you got to move it around a little bit to get them to line up properly. And here's the last one. I just let these dry out before I put them inside. Sometimes you need to adjust them to fit the curtains a little bit because if they're too tight, I've got snaps around the base of the base there, the catchment, to fasten the curtains so there's something holding them down. And then what I do to add further is got some longer budgie cords, and I put about 4 of those on the entries here, obviously. So I just put one. I just crank these around, and what these do is hold the curtain, when you're in the shower, it keeps the curtains from blowing in. Because again, with the wind today, like there's a little breeze today, as you go sideways, it's going to want to blow that curtain in on you. So what this does is it prevents that from happening. Some of this was learned as time went on. And then at the base of this system, I put a little pump that's basically a fish tank pump. And what that does is pumps the water out as I shower so it doesn't fill up. And it doesn't, it keeps your feet from getting in soapy water the whole time. All right, so that's the framework. And this is, again, these bungees are just designed to keep the curtains from blowing in on you. I'll get the curtains now and put those up. They were stowed away here, pretty strong, but in the fall I take these home, wash them. So anyway, these are the hooks. I always have to remember which way to go here. I just hook these over the upper pipe. Now make sure that this is the right way, because one side is the opening and the other side is the back end closure. So I'll just put a couple hooks in here to make sure I've got it right before I fasten all the rest of them. When I'm underway, I leave these hooks in. These are only taken out once a year, so you don't have to rethread these every time. It's just the first time. I just snap those at the base. The heat takes, I give it a little about 10 minutes before I use it. I'll fire up heater, let the water circulate a little bit in the tank. That's that big 6-gallon bucket that I showed you. I just let it percolate in there and warm up the water temp, bring the water temperature up to something that's hot. And then I take my shower. Doesn't take long, the water comes out pretty good. It feels really good to get a fresh hot shower. I'd prefer to have this inside, but the reality is there's just not enough room in this cabin. So this is the next best solution, and I've used it now several years actually. So it's been working very well. Now we'll just go ahead and snap the bottoms so that it can't blow out like that. That's the problem with wind, and if you're going to use the cockpit, the shower in, is it tends to blow everything around. The bungee cords help. The snaps at the bottom help. I just ran regular snaps into the base above where the normal water level comes up to. And some people would say it's a lot of trouble, but when the water temperature right now is, I think it was 40 when I looked this morning. It's come up a little bit since the sun's come out, but you know, you're not going to go swimming at 40 degrees of water. This is the alternative. And so far I've found that it works very well. It just takes a little while. A little longer the first time. There it is. That's one curtain set up. Now we'll do the second one. And because of this system is set up this way, you can't, really shower if it's blowing to beat heck. You got to wait for a reasonably calm day. And one thing about it, it's fairly private because I can come right out of the shower, go into the cabin. So even if you're in a busy place, put a towel around yourself, you can go in and out fairly quickly. I think last year the only thing I've had is boats come by close when you're showering sometimes. That's happened to me. With the curtains and stuff, it's not a problem. I would say it takes an extra 10 minutes to set up the first time you do this. You got to put all these individual hooks in. Once I use the shower for the season, I leave the hooks in and I just hang these up inside to dry in the head. And they dry out pretty quick because they're thin. Even if they're a little damp, I can hang them up. And there you go. That's pretty much the shower enclosure. I run the hose through the door when I'm actually using the shower. I have my towel here. I put my soap and stuff down there so that's within easy reach. Snap these bottom snaps. I use a kind of a screwdriver to kind of release these snaps because you can break them if you pull on them with this thin cloth. Curtains are not very strong, so if you start beefing on these snaps, you could end up ripping the fabric. So I use a screwdriver to kind of pop them. They do make a tool that does that, but I don't have one. So that's a complete rig. We're ready to go. I just need to put the pump in there. I just use a power bank to power this pump. Put a hose on it, and then that runs out over the stern. This just plugs into the power bank. I run that under the edge of the curtain. Bring the cord up to the table. I just put the power bank over here on the table so it's not down in the water. And then I go back and string this hose out over the back. I get the power bank. That's ready to go. Carry all my electronics in 2 different bins. Here's the power bin or power brick that I use. Plenty big. Just testing it. I don't want to run it until I have water in there. So heater over a little bit further. Get the water bucket just a little bit closer so I can reach because I stick the shower handle in here as I'm circulating. In fact, I'm going to start doing that right now. Not charged. I thought I charged this. I'll grab the other. There's fortunate I have a backup. So we'll get the other one. Let's see if. All right, let's try it again. All right, it's working there now. All right, we got circulation. Make sure we got good flow. We don't want to. You don't want to run the water. You got to have water running through that before you fire this up. And see, I've got this running, so that's good. That's what we're looking for. So now we can fire this heater up. There you go. That's running. Now I'll let that run until it feels fairly warm to my touch. And then I'm ready to step in and go for it. Just need to get a towel. I think you've seen enough. Again, you'll see this running, water running through there until that gets nice and warm. So hopefully you've got a good illustration of how this works. Good evening, folks. It's a nice sunny evening. Still been blowing a little bit, but the breeze is starting to drop. It's pretty calm. Blue sky, nice warm day in the 70s. Managed to get my hot shower today, so I feel pretty good. I actually just laid down and kind of semi-napped for a few minutes, waiting for the sun to kind of get behind the hills so I can sit out in the aft deck. You can see it's pretty sunny out there yet. Thought I'd sit out there and either read or just kind of observe, see if there's any wildlife that comes around. I'm not very hopeful because there just hasn't been much that I've observed. No osprey. I heard one loon, but I haven't seen any live loons. These things are amazing to me because of the body of water this size. And only 60 miles west of here, there's just numerous bald eagles on Lake Nipigon. So I'm going to just stay here one night. I'll move on in the morning to another place, not very far, about 5 miles up the lake, 6 miles. The winds are going to go to the south, so I'm going to look for another anchorage that's covered well for the south winds. The rain is going to follow the next day, so I may stay there for 2 days if it rains all day. We'll see what the forecast shows. Right now, it's so general that far out, 2 days out, that I don't know if it's going to rain all day or if it's just a part of a day. The weather forecasting that we get on the Zoleo is just not very adequate once you get out beyond about 18 hours. It's kind of hard to plan when you're looking out 2 or 3 days or even 5 days because you don't get that much forecast. You get 3 days maximum, and then that's sketchy on the third day. Even the second day is sketchy. Beyond about 18 hours, they jump 6 hours, and then into the third day it's 12-hour jumps. You know, you're really not getting very accurate information. Anyway, the day's gone really smooth. Early this morning when I left the anchorage, it was pretty cool. One of the coldest mornings I've seen, 37 degrees, water temperature 40 degrees. I just went a couple miles to where I thought I could recover the PLB that I lost, the personal locator beacon, which is an emergency beacon. I lost it when I was doing when I crashed the drone and I was searching on an island there. It turned out the drone wasn't on the island anyway, but I wore the vest, and when I took it off, laid it on the ground while I was doing the search of the island, it must have fallen off. It's normally attached to the belt on the life vest, and I noticed recently it started falling off, so the strap must be getting loose. It took me anchored there, and I think it was maybe 15 minutes. I went ashore with the kayak and found it immediately. Went back to the boat, get everything all hooked up again, and then I was on my way. I stopped briefly at a little landing, just actually over the woods, kind of a stone's throw from here actually to the southwest. So just stopped there to see if that might be a place I could stay. I tied up to beach, which is the first time I've done that on this trip. It was kind of nice, and I was tempted to stay, but I looked at how much traffic it appeared that it drew, and there was quite a bit of tracks and stuff from vehicles. So being that this is a weekend, a Sunday, sunny, warm day, it was perfect for people to come down there. So I didn't want to be interrupted if I was going to be there. If it was midweek, I think I would have stayed, but on a Sunday, on a nice day, it just didn't make sense. It's too public there, and if I was going to go hiking or anything like that, I'd have too many things here that people can walk away with, especially if they've come up with a vehicle and can carry stuff like that. You know, I've got a fire ring on the bow, 11-pound propane bottle, all kinds of lines and stuff that they could end up taking if they wanted. Even I can lock the boat, but there's a lot of stuff on the outside. Decided not to stay, came around the bend here and stayed in this anchorage where I'm at right now, which is quite good. Very well protected for the westerly and southwesterly components of wind that we're expecting today and this evening and overnight. So that's the plan. I'll move on about 5 miles tomorrow. It's supposed to be a nice day. I suspect a little bit like today, and then tomorrow night late, I think around midnight or later, it starts clouding up again, and then rain will come in that second day. Today's Sunday, Monday will be fine, and then Tuesday is when we're going to get some rain. We will talk to you tomorrow. I'm going to try to do a drone flight as we go out, doing while the boat is moving. I haven't done that yet. This seems like a fairly protected place where I could get away with it, so I'm going to try it tomorrow if the wind is calmer, in the morning. As long as there's not too much wind, I should be able to do it. At any rate, we will talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Have a good evening.